Hello, my friend, it's me again, BAWLER. I have some interesting news for you, as always. Please subscribe to my channel and write what you think about it in the comments. There was a time when Russian President Vladimir Putin confidently believed that the war in Ukraine would be over in just a matter of days. He envisioned his powerful military sweeping through to Kyiv and claiming victory in no time. Yet here we are over 3 years later, and analysts now say that even if Putin remains committed to this war, he's unlikely to live long enough to see Russia take full control of Ukraine. Despite this, Putin seems more determined than ever, not just to continue the invasion, but to widen its scope. On June 20th, during his speech at Petersburg International Economic Forum, he made a stunning declaration that all of Ukraine belongs to Russia. "I have said many times," he stated, "that I consider Russians and Ukrainians to be one people. In that sense, all of Ukraine is ours." He even invoked an old saying, "Wherever a Russian soldier sets foot, that's Russia." These alarming words spread quickly, sparking fear both in Ukraine and abroad. They also validated what many experts have long suspected. Putin's ambitions go far beyond the 4 regions initially annexed: Donetsk, Luhansk, Kursk, and Zaporizhzhia. He wants the entire country. This ambition is reflected on the battlefield, with Russian forces making aggressive moves into the Sumy and Kharkiv regions. Although progress is slow due to fierce Ukrainian resistance, the Russians are inching forward. In May, Putin appeared to confirm his broader intentions when, after visiting Russia's Kursk region, where Ukraine had launched a major offensive in 2024, he announced plans for a so-called buffer zone along the border. "We have approved the creation of a necessary security buffer zone," he said. "Our armed forces are actively working to fulfill this task." Earlier in the year, Russian commander Oleg Ivanov laid out the idea in detail, stating the zone should be no less than 20, preferably 30, kilometers deep into Ukrainian territory. Angelica Evans, a Russian affairs analyst at the Institute for the Study of War, sees the buffer zone narrative as a strategic entry point for broader conquest. "First, it's a buffer," she told The Telegraph. "Just 30 kilometers to protect Russians. Then why not take the nearby cities too? After all, aren't they historically Russian?" It's a slow, deliberate rollout of the idea that all of Ukraine should be claimed. Meanwhile, the brutality of Russia's attacks continues to intensify. On June 18th, a massive barrage of missiles and drone strikes on Kyiv killed 18 civilians and wounded over 150. President Zelensky called it one of the most horrific attacks of the entire war, evidence that Putin has no intention of backing down. Just days later, on June 24th, another strike killed 17 people in Dnipropetrovsk, including a child, as missiles hit hospitals, schools, and even a passenger train in broad daylight. Zelensky again condemned the attacks, citing Russia's total disregard for human life. According to Evans, these bombings serve a purpose beyond destruction. They're meant to break Ukrainian morale and force civilians to abandon territories Russia wants to seize. It's a form of psychological warfare, especially targeting communities near the front lines. Another clear indication that Putin has no plans to end the war came in May, during peace talks in Istanbul between Russia and Ukraine. Backed by members of President Donald Trump's administration, the talks achieved nothing. Instead, Russia threatened prolonged warfare unless its demands were met. Vladimir Medinsky, who led the Russian delegation, declared, "We don't want war, but we're ready to fight for 1 year, 2, 3, however long it takes. We fought Sweden for 21 years. How long are you ready to fight?" This reference to the Great Northern War of the 1700s, when Peter the Great battled Sweden, is telling. Putin has often compared himself to Peter, once saying, "Peter didn't take anything from them. He merely returned what was Russia's." This, he believes, is Russia's destiny, to take back what's theirs and grow stronger. He wants to be remembered like the emperors of old, as a victorious historic figure who expanded Russian territory, and he's willing to make Ukraine pay the price for his legacy. Please support my channel with a small donation. It's not much for you, but for me, it's an incentive to keep going and bring you important news. I've included a PayPal link to support my channel in the description for this video. Thank you. But let's be honest about the facts. Even if Putin intends to take all of Ukraine, it's unlikely he'll live to see it. Born in 1952, he's 72 years old and nearing the average Russian life expectancy of 73. Granted, he has elite healthcare and a family history of longevity. His father lived to 88, but time catches up with everyone. Despite the strongman image, rumors about his health, including possible cancer or Parkinson's, persist. Earlier this year, Zelensky bluntly stated, "He will die soon. That's a fact. It will all be over." He added, "I'm younger than Putin. Bet on me." Even if Putin does live longer than expected, He would need at least 70 more years to conquer Ukraine at the current pace. According to ISW data cited by The Telegraph, Russia gained 588 square kilometers in June, up from 507 in May. But even at this improved rate, it would still take 7 decades to fully capture Ukraine, and that's without factoring in Ukraine's growing momentum. With operations like Spiderweb, Ukraine has shown it can strike deep into Russian territory, disrupting key military and economic targets. If Ukraine continues targeting oil depots, railways, bridges, weapons factories, and air bases, it will slow down Russia's advances and stretch their war machine thin. Every successful Ukrainian counterattack forces Russia to start over, redeploying troops, reclaiming lost land, and rebuilding damaged infrastructure. Ukraine has even proven its ability to strike across the border. In the 2024 Kursk offensive, they temporarily held nearly 500 square miles of Russian territory, captured soldiers, laid mines, and destroyed infrastructure. While they were eventually pushed back, it showed the war's volatile back-and-forth nature. Despite some gains, Russia faces fierce resistance in many areas, and in regions like Kharkiv, they're advancing just 50 meters per day, slower than French and British troops during World War I's Somme offensive. According to CSIS, Russia has only taken about 5,000 square kilometers since January 2024, less than 1% of Ukraine, and mostly in Donetsk, Luhansk, and Kharkiv. Luhansk in particular is telling. Russia-backed separatists had controlled much of it since 2014, yet it took until July 1st, 2025 for Russia to claim full control. That's more than 3 years to conquer what should have been the easiest target. It's a testament to Ukraine's relentless defense down to the smallest village and farmland. Trying to take major cities like Sumy, Kharkiv, Dnipro, or Kyiv would be exponentially harder and cost even more Russian lives. And speaking of losses, Russia recently surpassed 1 million casualties, over 250,000 dead and 750,000 wounded. In response, Putin is offering big cash incentives, drafting 160,000 young men and allegedly pressuring Central Asian migrants to join the fight. His goal? A 1.5 million strong army. But Russia can't sustain such manpower losses indefinitely. It cannot keep sending wave after wave of troops into battle only to watch them die. Families are grieving, resentment toward the Kremlin is growing, and even Putin's iron will cannot stop the consequences from piling up. And the shortage doesn't stop with manpower. Russia is running low on military hardware too. Tanks, drones, jets, missiles. The CCS reports that since January 2024, Russia has lost over 1,100 armored vehicles, 3,000 IFVs, 300 artillery units, and 1,800 tanks. Losses are up to 5 times greater than Ukraine's. Researcher Nikolai Mitrokin warns that vehicle losses are outpacing production. Russia's stockpile could be depleted in a matter of months. All of this points to a war that Russia simply cannot sustain. Every destroyed tank or jet weakens its military and drains its economy. Some of this equipment is worth tens of millions. And on the economic front, things are falling apart. While Putin once boasted that sanctions had no effect, reality is now setting in. At the St. Petersburg Forum, 2 of Russia's top financial officials predicted a looming recession. Economic Minister Maxim Reshetnikov admitted that current trends point to decline. Central Bank head Elvira Nabiullina noted that labor reserves had been exhausted and a new economic model was urgently needed. The statistics are grim. Russia's National Wealth Fund has dropped from $113 billion to just $36.4 billion. The country is short 2 million workers. Oil and gas profits have halved. With few real allies and limited international support, Russia has only itself to rely on to pay for this war. Meanwhile, Ukraine continues to receive widespread backing. NATO, the EU, and allies across the globe have sent billions in weapons, aid, and humanitarian support. The G7 is now using frozen Russian assets to fund Ukraine's defense and rebuilding efforts, turning Putin's own money against him. With Western leaders renewing their long-term commitment to Ukraine, Putin's vision of restoring a Russian empire is unraveling. His army is bleeding, his economy is breaking, and his image as a modern-day Peter the Great is fading fast. Even if, decades from now, Russia manages to claim a full victory, Putin will be long gone. He will never get the triumph he so desperately craves.